there's no script for this video, there's only improv. I'm only going to say things that come to mind when I look at this process of drawing. This one was made some time back, I don't remember when, but I put in a lot of effort into the background. So today I'll be talking about the process of drawing a background. It's not fun, first of all, that's what I have to say for this one. So the great thing about Procreate is that it gives you these perspective guidelines, so I was very heavily reliant on that, as you can see. What I did was I just drew in like a very blocky layout for where the buildings were meant to go, so I had this rough idea of what the fuck I was going to be drawing, and then I would turn off that perspective guideline and I would go over the blocks and try and add details. For example, those curved windows, the stand in the background, the characters. I would even go over some of the straight lines as well, because one thing that I don't really like about using perspective guidelines is that it just makes every single line look way too straight, and even though that's how the perspective is meant to work, I don't like how rigid it ends up being, which is why I went over it with like a sketchier brush. And also I did scrap all of these ideas that I had initially for like a 2-story house, and I decided, you know what, it's too much rectangles in this shit, I'm going to make it a curved roof instead. As you can see, I would draw like this line down the midpoint of the front face of the building, and I would use that to guesstimate where I would put the fucking roof to begin with, and then I would add in all these fun details. But let's take some time off and address the fact that I don't keep up with my self-imposed upload schedule. I don't even reveal the fact that I have one. I kind of just upload whenever, and I had all these cool ideas, like I'm gonna do a Pokemon one, and in the end here I am making a video about a drawing I did way back, talking about backgrounds, not even talking about backgrounds anymore. I'm kind of just vibing here at this point. So here's me winging it, trying to figure out how to put the doors in perspective. I don't think it's correct, but there was an attempt and I can appreciate that for myself. It's more than I do on most days anyway. And then I would throw in these additional details, like here's some plants, because I don't want the face of the wall to be so empty, because that means I need to add like textures and shit. Nah, I'm not that kind of person. I'm just going to make things harder for myself by adding leaves and having to color each leaf one by one and making them extremely small. And I hate doing lines so much. It's like, I'm proud of it. I love looking at the lines after I'm done with them. Wow, look at that. But at the same time, come on. So you guys want actual advice? So this is the advice I have for you, which you should not take to heart. My approach for drawing this one was that I would draw in all of the straight lines first, to make sure that the perspective was correct-ish, and only then I would turn off perspective guide and go over the drawing with like those curved lines which don't necessarily have to adhere to the perspective. But some points I decided, like, you know what, I'm going to not draw with the perspective guidelines. For instance, that window over there, I kind of just winged it. I wanged it, I would say. And also, you don't have to draw like good, neat, clean straight lines for everything. If you don't want to, then don't. Just cover it with a tree, as I've done here. It's not being lazy, it's just spicing up the art while also being... And here I'm drawing a door. Can you tell how much I'm trying to stretch out my commentary? Do you enjoy the Animal Crossing music I've selected for you to listen to in the background? I sure hope so. Also, I remember something funny about this drawing now. You see there's a man in that shop over there. I completely forgot that I was supposed to color him in. I think I just didn't. Like, he's just one color but with multiple colors of multiply over him, because for some reason I was too lazy to go to the base layer and just give him normal colors, so I just didn't. What am I doing at this point? I don't remember. Right, I don't like having areas of like completely flat, clean planes in my drawing, for example the floor. So as you can see, I'm throwing in a bunch of lines. I am not comfortable drawing environments, I'm not comfortable drawing backgrounds. I'm very much the kind of person who draws faces in the direction of like 3/4 to the left, you know? That kind of classic drawing pose. I like drawing people, I like drawing faces, I like drawing hair. Backgrounds are not a thing that 14-year-old me decided to focus on. And I hate that choice every day, because imagine all of the cool environments that I could be drawing had I given myself that opportunity. But I just did not. So here's a pro tip. Start now. Don't end up like me, who is still trying to figure out how to actually draw fucking environments at age 20 in art school. Look at this shit. I like how this one came out. I like how clean it is. I like the detail that I threw in, even though most of it came out of a place of laziness. Would I draw this again? Absolutely not. It was tiring as hell. I'm going to go check the number of hours it took me to draw this in Procreate and put it up on screen here, so you can look at how long I suffered. And also, I do enjoy how I drew the clouds. I initially was not very proud of the coloring in this one, because as you know, when you first finish a drawing and you look at it, it's never like, huh, I did a good job, wow, I'm so proud of myself. The feeling you get is always just like, well, here's the thing I drew. That's the vibe that you get most of the time. That's the vibe I always get. That's the vibe I got for this one. And I was ready to dunk it in the garbage, because I went from like, wow, this is okay, to like, this is actually like a disappointment. But now I look back on it fondly. I look back on it and I'm like, wow, I can appreciate the effort that I went through to draw this one, that I'll never invest again. It is a good drawing. I enjoy it. Be proud of the things you create. Maybe one day, not necessarily now. But I can really appreciate the lengths I went through to draw this one. Also, like, I did not reference anything for this. Highly recommend using reference when you draw things. I'm just a fool who doesn't know where to go to get the references that I want. So, and at the time I was really vibing. Like, you know how people, when people are like dancing on stage, you see the comment section for like these K-pop boys, they're always like, dang, that guy sure is feeling himself. Like, you know that, where someone's just really vibing, really in the mood, really doing their stuff. That was what I felt, but for drawing. I was really feeling myself as I drew. Don't take that out of context, but I was. So I was like, if the moment I tab out of Procreate to get reference, I'm just going to like completely lose motivation. So this was a non-stop drawing. I sat down, started the sketch, and then I finished it, and it came out better than I expected, because most things I draw nowadays, I give up halfway, not because they suck, but just I lose interest and I'm like, oh, let me go draw another thing, and then I don't finish that one either. So I am proud of this one. It's a very rare occurrence for me, as someone with a steadily declining attention span. Very good drawing. Look at the stones. Wow, look at the colors. They don't necessarily go together yet, but I'm about to show you guys what's called a pro gamer move. It's where you completely throw color theory out the window and you instead put an overlay layer over everything. And recently I also learned this weird thing where it's like you shade in multiply in one color and then you go over it in another, like a more saturated reddish color. I'm not sure what it's called, I just like the effect. I don't remember where I got this, but I've been doing it a lot. And as you can see here, it's the pro gamer move that I mentioned prior. I put yellow overlay over everything. Actually, let me just go pull up that drawing right now. Let's take a look. Wow, look at these layers. There is a blue difference layer over the entire drawing. Wait, no. Divide, sorry. So here's my magical discovery. You know, multiply, it's like let's say it's a blue multiply, you put it over a picture, it becomes more blue and it becomes darker, right? Like you're adding blue to it, but it's called multiply because you're adding blue over it so it becomes darker, right? Does that make sense to you? So divide, in mathematical terms, is the opposite of multiply. So you would expect it to do the opposite in digital art. Yes, it does. So what divide does is it takes away that color instead of add to it. So if I put like a blue divide over this picture, what I'm doing is I'm making it warmer. Maybe everyone already knows this, maybe I'm just an idiot, but I only just figured this out, so you're here to witness me making this grand discovery, I guess. And then I took a purple lighter color layer and I put it over everything. I don't know why I decided to do this, honestly it looks fine without, but all it did is make the shadowy areas in this picture more lighter. And then what I did was I took an airbrush, which was a light pink. I went over the top left of the painting. Not painting, it's a drawing. Why am I so fucking pretentious? So what I did was I took airbrush over the top left, made it light pink, gave it like a nice gentle gradient. Because the sun comes from that direction, it goes down, so I wanted that area to be a bit brighter, you see. There is a add layer which is like yellowish, and what I did was I went over the edges of each shadow to give the impression of like light reflecting off these surfaces a little bit. Did it work? Maybe. And there's the line out layer, of course, and then I made the lines a bit purplish because I have an aversion to black lines. I sometimes do black lines, sometimes it works, but for stuff like this, I feel that adding a bit of color to the lines makes it better. You know those people who are like, don't draw with black lines, no, don't shade with black. Fuck them, don't listen to that shit. It depends on what you're drawing, it depends on the style. There is a use for everything. It may not be applicable here, but it can be applicable somewhere else. There is no right or wrong, there are no absolutes. Only Sith deals in absolutes. And yeah, and then there's like a yellowish greenish overlay layer to give it that vibrance, that brightness, to set the scene. It's a happy day for everyone here. And I did the opposite of the soft light layer after that, where I did a multiply layer from the bottom right where the shadows are, because the light is being blocked by the buildings, you see. It's science. A very meticulous, very intelligent thought process went into this drawing. And then there's a add layer for light, the sunlight, rays of sun coming down from the top left, giving it a little bit of glow. And then there's a white multiply layer. What the fuck does that do, you ask, because white does not get multiplied? Well, you see, it's just for noise. What I do is I don't want to have to flatten every single layer and then add noise over it, so I do the lazy man's method, or the smart man's method, which however you want to look at it. I take a white layer, I put it on top of everything, I set it to multiply, and then I add the noise over that. So the noise effect, the little dot dots, then multiply onto the canvas, you see. Pro tip, don't flatten images because you want to see those layers sometimes. Sometimes you just want to go back to your drawing and be like, oh wow, look at those lines, those sure are cool. Yeah, that's what I did here. Anyway, that was my elaborate breakdown of blending modes for my drawing. As you can see, I have finished it. It's a good drawing. Some flaws here and there, but it's a good drawing nonetheless. I'm proud of it. I would rate this one an 8 out of 10.